They went English.
You ever heard somebody say, "Oh, he's doing his shtick again"?
Yeah,
that's Yiddish.
Okay.
So pretty much anything that doesn't sound like a word but starts with an SCH, that's Yiddish. Which Yiddish is like, I guess I'll have to get out the old Google, but from what I know, it's like a Jewish slang.
It's not really a word, but you make up a word to mean something.
There's an actual language called Yiddish.
Okay.
And some older Jewish people actually can speak the whole Yiddish language. And it's kind of like Latin. It's dead. Like nobody speaks Yiddish. Oh, and I even saw a show, it might have been on the Discovery Channel, about how the Jewish Holocaust caused a big portion of the Yiddish population to be killed off. So the Holocaust had a big part in the death of the Yiddish language. But there still are some people, but it's so small in the pockets of Yiddish speakers. They're so small that it's like Latin. It just kind of, there's nowhere it's really spoken anymore, or not very many places. So that's what Yiddish is. And schlong would be what you use when you go to the bathroom. So if you're a man.
So the Washington Post is calling it sexist.
Well, because I think you have to get a very literal to call it sexist. Because you're talking about male anatomy.
Hitting somebody else.
Well, if you say schlonged,
you got hit by it.
Well, if I were to use the English translation, if I want to go literal, it would be called she got penised.
Can you say that on the air?
But that's not even a word.
Well,
how can you put past tense ed on a noun like that?
They did.
What does it mean?
It means you get hit with it.
Like a baseball bat?
Yes.
Like hitting it with a golf club.
Yes, and particularly in the face.
I want the soundbite, and I can't even remember what album it's from, where the rapper talks about getting slapped upside the head with 9 inches of schlong.
Wow.
But he doesn't use the word schlong.
Wow. Okay. Now that we have gone completely off the rails. And the only reason why I brought this up is because it was
No. The media made it as much of an issue. Huge without any H's.
They were so sick with it that Hillary never responded to him making that comment. They were so upset.
They were sure that this was going to be it. By the way,
they were upset that Hillary didn't respond.
Oh, really?
And they were so upset about it, they wrote an article saying
that she didn't respond.
Hillary's camp, Hillary's followers, people drinking Hillary's Kool-Aid are just livid that she's not responding.
Okay.
She still hasn't responded.
The whole thing, calling it sexist is clearly a they're grasping at straws.
Right.
I mean, we're talking about a guy who I thought he was done when he insulted McCain for being captured in Vietnam and called him a loser.
What a hero.
Because winners don't get captured. Which I thought, how is he going to recover from this?
And amazing.
Turns out it helped him, which
in a weird way.
To me, that was a little creepy.
Well,
that you could insult a veteran for a particular part of his service.
Well, McCain actually
help you.
McCain is actually in the pockets of Obama and Hillary and the Democrat Party. He is on record as saying, "Of course, we're going to fund those rebels over there. They're freedom fighters."
Yeah, we know that he's... Look, you can't sit there and say that he's a great person to be in charge or to come up with policy.
I don't even know if I'd let him watch my kids.
Well, yeah, because he could say something that would teach the kids the wrong thing. Right. Okay, well, I can agree with that. But, yeah, the whole schlong thing, they were really grasping at straws. They
desperate. So the media is so obsessed with Trump, and they think that their obsession will turn him sour. At least that's what it looks like. It looks like they say, we've got to report every single awful thing, even if we don't think it's awful, but it could be awful.
Have you ever heard of
We're going to report everything.
Have you ever heard of political capital? So basically what political capital is you have an ability to make something happen.
Right.
Using politics. And every time you use it, you lose a little. It's like money.
Right.
And over time you can build it back up because you haven't asked anybody to do anything. And then you expend some political capital by doing something to somebody or asking for a favor or whatever. And then you expend some. Well, when you're out of political capital,
broke,
you cannot get anything done.
Right.
Right. So here's what happened. The media spent all of their political capital destroying Bush.
They're all out.
They're out. Now that they're trying to do the exact same identical thing to Trump, the public is like, you wasted all that political capital on Bush. We ain't buying it.
No.
It takes a long time to build. We're talking from 2003 all the way through 2008.
I don't know.
5 solid years of destroying him.
Well, they even tried to beat Reagan. They tried to destroy Reagan back in the day.
Yeah, but I really can't comment on that.
It was nothing like what they did to Bush. Like,
right. Bush,
literally.
Bush, W. Bush, not H.W. Bush.
Right.
I mean, they destroyed him with one fell swoop.
Right, I was going to say, they did one swing.
Read my lips.
No new taxes.
No new taxes.
Oh, by the way, we got taxes.
In their view.
Right. So, anyway.
The Democrats were in with the news media and said, don't you worry. We'll get him to spend new taxes, and then we'll tell you about it so you can report it.
I heard, obviously, this is totally hindsight, but they were interviewing a Democratic operative from back in the day, and he told the interviewer, as soon as I heard him say those words, read my lips, no new taxes, he clapped his hands like, we've got him.
We got him.
And I'm sitting here thinking, well, what if he didn't raise taxes? I mean, people just make stuff up.
No, they were going to raise taxes on him and not even let him know he did.
Okay, well, he's got to sign. He could veto it.
Well, they might slip it in.
Well, actually, they what they do is they say we're going to spend all this money for the children,
right?
And if you say no to this, all the children are going to die horrible deaths.
So we're going to tell everybody that you're killing off children.
Yes.
So what's worse? New taxes or dead children?
Right. So that's what Bush reads, and he's like, oh, I guess I better not veto this or I'm going to be politically dead. And he forgot, read my lips. And that was the end of him.
How could you forget, read my lips?
I'm shocked that read my lips was enough to bring down a president who did what he did for the Gulf War.
Right.
Just obliterated. And it was high times back then. So anyway, yeah.
No, it wasn't. However, come to find out, Bush, the first Bush, he was pretty hardcore lib. He was not. He was definitely a GOP.
Raise taxes and I'll say no, and they'll push and I'll say no, and they'll push again and I'll say to them, read my lips. No new taxes.
They'll push and I'll say no.
And they'll push some more and I'll say
push and no. And you'll keep pushing. And finally I'll tell them.
Power pause.
Yes!
That was about
exactly what that was.
If you know anything about public speaking, that's your textbook power pause.
Right. So check this out. The Washington Post came out with an article about Trump. CNN, Washington Post, or CNN, Washington, not Washington Post. CNN in Washington said Trump seems to set to end 2015 as the dominant force in the race for the next year's Republican nomination for president. Ted Cruz, now a clear yet distant second after strong debate performance. A new CNN ORC poll released this last Wednesday found Trump tops the field at 39%, and Fox obviously had him at 41%.
Obviously.
Yeah. Well, just because that's what Trump said on the last sound clip. But according to the poll of Republican and Republican-leaning registered votes, that's more than double the share backing Cruz at 18, who inched up 2 since the last poll, which was taken back in November. Carson and Rubio in this poll are tied at 10%. Now, they did a question polling where they asked a question and they polled people of that question. First question was, who, out of all the candidates, who can handle the top issues facing the nation today? Is that kind of a fair question? That's a real broad and open. Because top issues to this guy might be immigration.
Right.
Top issues to this guy.
Sounds a little bit biased. I could see that.
Kind of leaning, not a really good question to ask in a poll. Anyway, so Trump came in at 57%, Cruz at 15%, Rubio at 7%, Carson at 6%, Bush at 5%. Who can handle illegal immigration? Trump at 55%, Cruz at 15%, Rubio at 10%. Who can handle ISIS? Trump at 47%, Cruz at 21%, Bush at 7%. I don't know why that would have jumped that high. And then I thought one was kind of interesting. It said to the GOP, who has the best shot at winning the GOP nomination? Who has the best shot at winning?
Just the GOP nomination, not the whole presidency.
Right. Who has the best shot at winning? Trump at 46%, Cruz at 25%, Rubio 16%.
And he almost has him by double. Like, he almost has him double. Almost.
Carson at 13%, Rand Paul at 8%, Chris Christie at 7%, Bush and Kasich tied at 4%.
4. That's 8% between the two of them.
No. Yeah. I was thinking they shared the number 4. So they were tied at 2.
Like trace elements.
Right. They were sharing 4.
If you look at the makeup of the atmosphere, you have your nitrogen and your oxygen. So when you get down to that tiny little sliver of 1%, they don't name all the other elements.
Right.
They just call it trace elements. So they lump them all together. So eventually, because nobody's dropping out, because they're a bunch of hard-headed
losers.
Whatever.
Well, they're being funded by Democrats.
Right. So eventually, they're not going to say Bush blank percent, Christie blank percent. They're going to say
trace elements.
Trace elements. Bush, Christie, and Fiorina.
They're not even mentioning her name anymore in any of these polls.
It's going to have the squiggly line for approximately 1%.
Oh,
or the less than symbol.
Oh, now I have seen that.
Ooh,
I have seen that.
Embarrassing.
But that one dropped out. Who was that? Your friend and mine dropped out recently.
My favorite is
who was that that just dropped out?
Graham.
Yeah, Graham. Billy Graham.
Billy Graham.
I think he's dead.
Billy Graham,
the senior. Anyway, no,
whatever.
Lindsey Graham.
Right, Lindsey.
I just can't take it anymore. Bush. Trump is just a bully. I'm just gonna end this thing.
You sound like Rand Paul. Rand Paul sounds like that. He's a bully.
That's what Graham was railing on Trump.
I would stay in this race, but I just can't stay in here with a bunch of bullies.
Well, but who did he ask that he wished was president?
I wish Trump was president.
I wish Bush was still president.
Oh yeah, I wish Bush was still president. In fact, I'd vote for him today. The rest of all these candidates, they can all go to hell.
Y'all go to hell.
Man.
So Graham has officially...
And I'm just going to drop out of this race because I feel like it's best for the Communist Party. I mean, what? Oh, did I just say that? I'm just kidding.
Because I want Bush back.
Bush wasn't necessarily good for communism.
No.
But he was better than, I don't know, Hillary. Either way, I don't know what's going on. I'm just going to drop out of this race. And y'all can go to hell. Oh, did he really say that?
Senile. Oh, yeah.
Senile? He's not even that old.
Senile. They're saying he is so senile. Oh, no, Mitch McConnell.
Oh, Mitch
McConnell is completely senile.
I can't do his voice because we don't have a whole